All right, then, let's jump right in. A video to help Spanish speakers navigate pharmacies in English-speaking countries, huh? That's a really neat idea. And this outline, wow, you've got everything here. From basic pain meds to allergy stuff, even how to talk about vitamin dosages.
Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to put together for a while,
Yeah.
I really tried to go beyond just listing simple phrases, like including actual dialogues, right? For how to ask about specific types of meds or like how to ask for recommendations or even how to ask about side effects. Hopefully that's helpful for people when they're actually at the pharmacy.
Yeah, for sure. It's way more useful than just knowing a handful of words, like that bit you have about asking for allergy medication, recommending cetirizine, and you even made sure to highlight that brand name right alongside the word antihistamine. That's such a clever touch.
Thanks. Yeah, I figure, seeing a name they might recognize, even if it's just a brand, can be really reassuring for someone, especially in a new environment. Plus, just in general, getting familiar with some common brand names is a good idea for anyone who might need to navigate a pharmacy in a foreign country, right?
Right. It's true. I hadn't even thought of it that way. And then you even wove in some practical health advice too, like explaining potential side effects of different vitamins. That's really smart.
I think it's important to give people the full picture. You know what I mean? It's not just about teaching the language. It's also about helping people understand how to stay healthy, which is huge.
Totally. Okay, so you mentioned cultural differences earlier. Can you tell me a little more about what you meant by that? I imagine that could be a really important thing to consider, especially in a setting like a pharmacy.
Absolutely. Something we might consider totally normal here, like the way we talk to a pharmacist, might not be the norm somewhere else. For instance, in some places, it might be totally normal to address the pharmacist as doctor, but then in other places, that could be considered strange, and it'd be more appropriate to just say something like, excuse me. Same thing goes for something like allergies. In some cultures, it might be expected that you mention any allergies you have right away, while in other cultures, that might not be as common.
Wow, I see what you mean. So, anticipating those kinds of cultural differences and then actually addressing them directly in the video could be really helpful for your viewers, I imagine. It's almost like you're giving them a little cultural cheat sheet to go along with all the language stuff, right? Okay, so speaking of making this helpful, let's talk visuals. I know you mentioned using subtitles, but there's so much more you can do with video, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Visuals are huge. Don't just think about the words, think about images too. Like you could include pictures of common medicines or even like short little animations to go with those dialogues you're talking about.
It'd be like they're stepping right into a pharmacy, even if it's just on their screen, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. And hey, think about this. You could even have key vocabulary words, like pop up on the screen, kind of highlighted at the same time that they're being spoken.
Hmm.
Visual learners, that'd be huge for them.
Oh, definitely. All those little things add up for sure. And what about having people interact more directly with the material? I know you mentioned role playing.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about that. Encourage people to actually say the phrases out loud, even if they're just repeating after the speaker. Or, hey, even better, have them grab a friend and practice those dialogues together. It's like, if you can make it fun, make it a game, then it doesn't even feel like learning, right?
Right. Way more engaging that way. Okay, so you also mentioned something about a beyond the counter section, which I thought was a really interesting idea. Can you give me an example of what you were thinking for that?
Yeah, so basically going beyond just like buying something simple, right? Like what about if someone needs to get a prescription filled or figure out those instructions on the label, like how much medicine to take and when? Or what if they need to find something over the counter, something they might usually get back home? Those are all situations travelers might find themselves in.
That makes a lot of sense. It's almost like instead of just giving them a phrase book, you're giving them a whole set of tools to manage their health while they're traveling. Like you could even have a whole dialogue about, I don't know, like what if someone has a recurring health issue and they need to explain it to the pharmacist and see if they can get the same medication they get back home?
Yes, exactly. And then within that dialogue, you could have phrases for different symptoms, right? So instead of just teaching them the word headache, you could have them learn how to say something like, I've been having migraines, or I have a cough that won't go away, giving them more specific language.
Oh, and to build on that, to make it even more real world, you could also include some phrases for understanding those prescription labels. Things like take 2 tablets twice a day, or don't go out in the sun while you're taking this medication, that kind of thing.
Now you're talking. Because being able to understand those instructions, that's so important. It's all about giving people the tools to be independent,
Yeah.
right? Like Even if they're in a healthcare system that's completely different from what they're used to, they can still advocate for themselves and understand what's going on.
Yeah, it's like you're not just giving them the words, you're giving them the confidence to actually use those words to get what they need, even if they're somewhere totally unfamiliar.
That's it. You got it. It's amazing, really, how much you can pack into something like this. When you think about it, addressing a real-world need like this, that's when learning a language, whatever the language is, that's when it really clicks, I think. When it's not just about memorizing words, but about, like, actually being able to use those words to connect with people, to get things done. That's what makes it real.
It really is. I'm realizing that more and more just by talking through this outline with you. We're talking about giving people the ability to manage something as important as their health, even when they're outside their comfort zone. It's kind of amazing.
Oh, yeah, totally. And think about this, the sense of accomplishment those viewers are going to feel when they realize, hey, I can walk into a pharmacy anywhere and explain what I need and understand what they're telling me. That's huge.
So true. Wow, this has been such a great deep dive. We've really covered a lot from specific vocabulary and cultural considerations to like the bigger picture, promoting health literacy and stuff. I really appreciate you taking the time to go through all of this with me. It's been so helpful.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. It's clear you've put so much thought into this project, and I have no doubt that it's going to be super beneficial for anyone who watches it.
Well, that about wraps it up for another deep dive. Hopefully, this conversation will inspire some new ideas and give you a fresh perspective on this video project. Because remember, language isn't just about words, it's about giving people the power to connect with the world around them. Until next time, happy creating.